Hi, I'm Jenny Fish with One Big Happy Yarn Company, and we're back again with block number 8 of our Block of the Month knit project. I can't wait to dive into this one. On this block, you have learned everything you need to know for this one. We're not going to learn anything new other than how to put some things together. We are making the chunky cable block. Isn't that gorgeous? It looks intimidating, but I promise you, you have already learned how to make all of these stitches. There's just a little finagling and we will have it made. And then you just make 2 of these in 2 different colors and you are done. So that a total of 2 blocks, 1 in one color, 1 in another color, just to clarify on that. We're still using the same US size 7 knitting needle, still using the same yarn. And if you just happen to stumble across this and you're like, what is this madness of a block of the month? You can go to onebighappy.com and get the kit and the pattern, all the yarn that you need to make this, and go back to episode 1, block 1, and start over. It will be available for you online. So, are we ready? Okay. Want to go over a couple of things. Number 1, this has a chart. Here is our chart. There, down below are the pictures, symbols that tell you, this is called the key, tells you what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it. This is the whole row. So you don't do this and then repeat it. This is the entire row. And let me show you what that looks like on your needles. This is the entire repeat. And then you just knit these rows. There's 8 rows here. You just knit these over and over and over until you get to 10 inches. So this is all you need to know for this block. So you go ahead and you cast on your stitches, and then row 1. Let me show you what that looks like. First of all, for this one, I do use a lot of stitch markers. Now, in the pattern instructions, we have all the written instructions of the stitches that we're going to be doing, and I don't tell you where to place the stitch markers in there because it's really knitter's choice. I'm going to show you in the video where I place my stitch markers, but feel free to adjust to whatever works for you and your brain and how you absorb the pattern. So I've got a ton of stitch markers, and these are, I've just collected throughout my knitting area. Like I pulled up my recliner and found a bunch of stitch markers. So they are not all the same. They don't all match, but they will work. Okay. So we are on row number 1. We have our little, and when you start the chart, just like we've talked about charts before, you're going to start on the right side and work from right to left. Then when you're on the wrong side, you work from left to right, same as before. Okay. So very first stitch is we are going to slip as if to knit. So I slip it this way. And then I'm going to purl 2 stitches. That's what the little dot on the picture means. So you just purl 2 stitches. 1, 2. And then we knit 2 stitches. 1, 2. Now we're going to work our first cable. Now this is called the chunky cable block. There's a lot of cables in here. Take a look over here again. This is the first cables that we're going to work right here. That's what I'm getting ready to show you how to do on this section right here. And that cable is called a 2/2 right cross. So you're going to see number 2/number 2 RC. Now, you guys have been along for the ride for me on this. You know when I work my cables, I prefer to use a double pointed needle. You can use a cable needle, the kind with the little hook on it. But this is what I use. This is what I have in my knitting bag. This is what I like. Okay, so we are crossing to the right. That means our stitches are going to lean to the right. So you take the first 2 stitches, slide them, and it's a 2/2. So that means 2 stitches here, 2 stitches there. Slide the first 2 stitches onto my needle. I'm going to hold them to the back. Then I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Then I'm going to knit the 2 stitches off of my cable or my double pointed needle, the ones that I pulled aside, 1 and 2. That is the 2/2 right cross. That is the first section right here. Okay. Then after that, we are going to purl 2 stitches. Now the reason for these purl stitches before and after the cable is it's actually reverse stockinette. That means on the other side it looks like a knit stitch, on the right side it looks like a purl stitch. It makes those cables pop. It makes the fabric dip down. As you can see here, I'm going to keep going back to this, but as you can see here, there's this little indent on both sides, indent over here. That's what those purls are doing, because they really make those cables pop. And then you'll see this right here, that's a knit stitch. This is just decorative. I put that in there to kind of separate the sections and be a little decorative. Okay, so I just did my 2 over 2. Now I'm going to purl 2. 1, 2. Now here is where I like to put a stitch marker, because in my mind that section is over. I'm getting ready to do the knit stitch for the other section. That section is over. I just slide a stitch marker there. Then knit 1. And that's this rib looking stitch right here. It's just a knit stitch all the way up. I like to put another stitch marker after that. Now I'm on to the next section here, and it starts with 2 purl stitches. There's 1, 2. Now this section is just knit stitches. You'll notice there's no X on this first row. It's just all knit stitches. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to knit 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I'm going to purl 2, 1, 2. Now in my mind that's the end of that section, so I'm going to pop another stitch marker in, then knit 1, pop another stitch marker in. Lots of stitch markers for me. When I'm doing this, I like the extra stitch markers. I feel more confident of where I'm at in my pattern when I have all those. So now I'm going to knit across these stitches till I get to the next section where I'm going to pop in a stitch marker. And again, it's in your chart, so just follow along. Purl 2, then knit across. I'm just going to do this real quick to get to that other area to put the stitch marker in. And once you get past row 1 and you have all of your stitch markers in place, there's a lot less counting going on, because then you just trust in your stitch markers, and you can also read your knitting and look underneath and see what stitches were underneath, and you'll know right away. So just this first row is when you really want to pay attention to your counting and get all of your stitch markers in the right spot. So I just did that section. I purled 2, knit 1. I'm going to throw in another stitch marker. And then I'm in this section right here. It's again just purl 2, knit 6. Think of this as like a setup row to get you started. Oops, I split my yarn. If you ever do split your yarn, that's where your needle kind of slides through. Just take it out and come back. Grab all those strands of yarn so you don't have any loopy loops. Okay, come back here, purl 2. And as you go along, trust me, it just kind of becomes like almost muscle memory as you go along. When you have those stitch markers in there, they just kind of guide you. Okay, now I'm on this last section right here where I have a purl 2, 1, 2, then I have a knit 2, 1, 2, and then another 2 over 2 right cross. So again, I'll show you that. You slide 2 onto your cable needle or your double pointed needle. You knit 2 from your main needle, then knit 2 that you pulled aside. And I can put that down for now. And then purl 3 to finish out row 1. Now on row 2, turn my work. I'm on the back side of my work. Row 2, if you look at that, you slip the first stitch, and then basically you're knitting the knits and purling the purls. Now we've done that before in other blocks. I'll just go over that with you real quick. So my V on the wrong side, slip 1 purlwise. So I slip it like this. Let me do it like that. Okay, now I'm ready to knit. Make sure when you slip that purlwise that you have your yarn in back so that you don't add an extra loop. Let me show you that again just so you can see. Okay, make sure my active yarn is in the back. I'm slipping one purlwise, then I'm knitting the next stitch. That keeps you from getting a wraparound on that last stitch. Okay, now we're gonna just knit the knits. Now see this purl bump underneath here? I'm gonna purl that stitch. It is in the chart, so if you get a little off, you can look at your chart. And remember, we're on the wrong side, so we're going from left to right. But really on this, you can just read your knitting and it'll tell you what stitch comes next. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this row, and then I'll come back and we'll go to row 3 where we have more cabling to show you. Okay, I'm going to knit this last stitch on row 2. Now I'm going to flip over for row 3. And again, you know, keep your chart handy. You can also use Post-it notes to mark your spot, or highlighter tape, or just little check marks here and there. Honestly, I have knit this several times, and I'm to the point now where I'm like, I don't really need to mark that spot in there. But as soon as I say that, then I'll mess up. So maybe I should grab a pen. I will after this row. And oh, this is very handy too. This is our, okay, so I just finished row 2. I have my row counter as a backup. Okay, here we go. I'm on row 3. We're going to, let's see, it's a V with the line through it on the right side, which means slip 1 purl rise. When you do that on this one, because your next stitch is a purl stitch, you want to make sure that when you slip it, your yarn is in the front of your work so that you don't get that little wrap around. So I slipped it purlwise. Now I'm going to purl the next one. And we are ready for a 2/2 left cross. So on the last one, we did a 2/2 right cross where we were crossing this way. Now we're going to cross that way. Same concept. We are just doing it a little different so that our stitches will go the other way. I'm going to slip the first 2 stitches. Okay. Let's see. This is something else I want to show you. I was just getting ready to slip that stitch and I looked down and realized, oh, that's a purl bump. Go back to my pattern. I was supposed to purl 2. I purled 1 because I slipped 1, purled 1. Now I need to purl the next one. It's always good to look down and read your knitting. I almost made an oopsie. So I'm going to purl that stitch. Now I have a knit stitch there. I'm in the right spot. I'm going to take my double pointed needle, slide those first 2 stitches. Now I want, last time I went this way, this time I'm going to go that way. So I'm going to hold those to the front of my work. That'll make it cross the opposite of what we did before. So it'll make it cross to the left. And then knit 2 from the main needle. Then come back and knit 2 from the double pointed or cable needle. 1, 2. Okay, now I've done that 2/2 left cross. And I look back at my pattern. I got 2 more stitches to knit. And then 2 more stitches to purl. And I'm back to my stitch marker. So that's that section. Take a deep breath. Look back at my work. Make sure everything's going the right direction. And it is. Yay. So slide that stitch marker. Knit 1 stitch, slide the next one. Now I'm in this next section right here, right there. And this, a little bit different, but looks similar. It is a 3, 1, 2, 3/3, and we're going this way, right cross. I'm kind of giggling to myself because left and right always get me, and then I'm looking at the camera. Anyway. So I always have to stop and pause on my left and my right. It is going this way, so it is a right cross. We're doing a 3/3 right cross. So let me show you how to do that. I think you probably have figured this out by now. With a 2/2 right cross, you slide 2 stitches onto your cable needle. A 3/3, you slide 3 stitches onto your cable needle. So we're going to purl those first 2 stitches. 1, 2. Now we're ready to work that cable by sliding 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. We are going to the right. We're going this way. So to do that, we hold those stitches to the back. And we knit. Did I say that backwards? No, I said that right. We're going to the right, so it goes in the back. Right, left. Okay, knit 3 stitches from your main needle, 1, 2, and 3. Then you knit the 3 stitches from your cable needle. 1, 2, 3. Then look down at your work, double check that your top stitches are leaning to the right, and they are. We did that one right. Okay, we're gonna purl 2 stitches. 1, 2. So that section is done. Slide the stitch marker, knit 1, slide the stitch marker. Now we're in this big section. Now this one looks a little intimidating because there's 2 back to back, but you just did the 3 over 3 right cross. In this section of cables, which is this section right here, we're gonna do 2 of those. That's what's helping it give this braided look. And I'll show you again how simple this is. Purl 2 stitches, 1, 2. Then the first 3 stitches are regular knit stitches because that's going to help us maneuver through this cable. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to work 2 3 over 3 right crosses. Slide the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Hold those to the back. Knit 3 stitches off of your active needle. 1, 2, 3. Knit those stitches from your cable needle. 1, 2, 3. Double check that you're going to the right. I am. Then do that again. Slip 3 stitches. Hold them to the back. Knit 3 stitches. Then knit the 3 stitches from your back needle. And then double check, make sure they're going to the right. They are. They match up to the picture. And then purl 2 stitches. Okay. Then we're going to finish up this row is basically the flip-flop of what we did. You know, I've already showed you all these stitches over here, and if you look at this pattern, it's very symmetrical. These sides are exactly the same. So that you can see that on your chart. They are exactly the same. So what you do here, you do over here. These 2, one goes this way, one goes that way. So one goes to the right, one goes to the left. It's the same but flip-flopped. So I showed you those stitches. Now on here, as we work across, trust the pattern, you're going to be either knitting the first 3 stitches and then working your cable, or you're working your cables and then knitting the last 3 stitches. It's back and forth, and your chart will show you. So you have your 2 over 2 right cross, your 2 over 2 left cross, and then you have your 3 over 3 right and left cross. That makes up this section right here. So just follow your chart. Don't forget to use your markers, row counter, use a Post-it note, whatever helps you keep track of where you're at. But just remember, this little section is all you're doing from here to here, over and over until you get to 10 inches. Then you can go ahead and bind off and then block, and you are ready to join me in the next episode when we seam everything together and work our way to the end of the block of the month knit version. So thank you so much for joining me. And again, like I said, if for some reason you have not already picked up your kit and gotten the yarn and the pattern, you can check us out at onebighappy.com. Get that kit. It includes the pattern and the yarn that you need to make this block of the month. Thank you so much and happy knitting.